Hello everyone. Today, we'll be seeing how fast Pinsir can beat Pokemon Leafgreen in a solo run challenge. Let's get straight into the video. In the last video, we did Scyther in Pokemon Leafgreen, and that thing honestly just breezed through the game thanks to the ability of Double Team and Substitute. Today though, Pinsir I don't think is going to be as good, but we'll definitely try our best. As we fight the rival, let's take a look at this thing's starting learn set. It starts with Vice Grip and Focus Energy. Vice Grip is just a simple 55 power normal type move, so automatically an upgrade over the tackle and scratches most things start out with. But obviously this is just the starting moveset. We need to look at what else this thing gets. At level 7, we get access to the move Bind, which is just a pure garbage move. And then throughout the rest of the levels, we get Seismic Toss at 13, then Harden, Revenge, Brick Break, Guillotine, Submission, and finally Swords Dance. Swords Dance is going to be our best setup move. I mean, we do get access to another setup move via TM, which I'll go over right now. Our main TMs of focus here are just Focus Punch, Bulk Up, Hyper Beam, Earthquake, Return, Dig, Brick Break, Rock Tomb, Secret Power, Thief, and a couple of tutor moves. Most of these tutor moves aren't going to really be too useful, since most of the good ones like Body Slam and Swords Dance are in the post game, so we can't get access to them. Well, we get Swords Dance by level up, but anyway. But the good tutor move we get is Rock Slide and Substitute. Pretty much everything in the game gets access to Substitute, and when you pair it up with a setup move like Swords Dance, you can just breeze your way through a lot of different fights. Plus, Rock Slide is going to be very good coverage since our level up moveset is just normal in fighting moves. However, our moveset is only as good as the stats that go with it, so let's take a look at Pinsir's stats. We have 65 HP, 125 attack, 100 defense, 55 special attack, 70 special defense, and 85 speed. We are in the slow level up group unfortunately, so leveling up in the early game is definitely going to be a pain, but I think once we get access to some setup moves, it should be smooth sailing from here. But with all that information out of the way, let's go on with the actual run, starting with the Brock split. Obviously, with our starting 3 movesets of Vice Grip, Focus Energy, and Bind, I really do not feel comfortable taking on Brock right now, which should be obvious to all of you, so I fight all of the bug catchers in the forest, and as soon as I heal in Pewter, I go back into the forest and just fight wild Pokemon. I am slowly making my way back to the optional rival. He's not really worth that much XP, but he's got to be better than a bunch of level 2, level 3 Caterpies. So my plan is just to keep training until level 13 where we get Seismic Toss. Seismic Toss is a fixed damage move based on the user's level. So at level 13, Seismic Toss will do 13 damage, which is really good because I'm sure Vice Grip will only do like 2 or 3 damage on the Geodude before it uses a defense curl. So yeah, this will be a great move. So I'm just going to train up to level 13 and let's go take on the first gym leader, Brock. He starts off with his Geodude, which is a simple 3-shot with Seismic Toss. I use one on the Onix, it hits me with Rock Tomb, lowering my speed, but since the AI views Rock Tomb as a speed control move, once Pinsir is slower than the Onix, it won't go for Rock Tomb ever again, and I defeat Brock with a time of 10 minutes and 40 seconds. Not a bad Brock split, but I still had to do a bunch of training, so it's gonna be slow regardless. I battle a bunch of optional trainers in Route 3 and in Mount Moon as well. I catch a Paris inside of here because I was able to catch a Pidgey in the early routes, but I could just not find a Rattata, so Paris is my backup if I don't find Rattata. And if I ever don't find a Pidgey, my backup is on Route 3 where there are Spearow and Pidgey. But fortunately, I only needed the Paris, and then I make my way through Mount Moon and enter Cerulean City. There are 2 tutors for Mega Punch and Mega Kick here. Sadly, I can't learn either of them, which is kind of a shame. This thing could really use Mega Punch, but then again, look at its puny little hands. Like, I don't think it's going to be punching anything. So once we arrive in Cerulean, we have 2 choices. Either fight the rival or Misty. What I do is first, I go into Misty's gym and just take out her 2 trainers for quick XP. I get the rare candy behind this guy's house, and I decide that Rival 2 might straight up be better because the Star Me is still going to outspeed me, and Pinsir can't learn Water Pole, so there's really no reason to do her first. I am weak to the Rival's Pidgeotto, but at least I have Rock Tomb, so let's see how the fight goes. He starts off with his Pidgeotto, I outspeed, go for Rock Tomb, it misses, and I get hit with Sand Attack, causing me to miss another Rock Tomb. I do get hit with another Sand Attack, and another one, but fortunately I do hit my Rock Tomb, and I keep trying to spam Vice Grip until I knock it out, which I do, but I'm only at 30 HP left. Next up is the Charmander, I miss Rock Tomb, Ember puts me at 7 HP, burns me, and I get my very first reset. On the next attempt, I'm actually able to hit the Pidgeotto turn 1 with Rock Tomb. I still get hit with a Sand Attack, but that's a lot better than having 3 Sand Attacks. Unfortunately, I missed 2 Rock Tombs on the Charmander, causing another reset because it lives in red health. You know, if I was level 18 over the next damage rounding threshold, theoretically the Pidgeotto or the Charmander can be one-shots because at levels ending in 0, 3, 5, or 8, the amount of damage you do goes up non-linearly, so I should be able to do a bunch more damage at level 18. So I train up to level 18 and go try the fight again. I miss my first Rock Tomb on the Pidgeotto. I seriously freaking hate this move. I miss 3 Rock Tombs in a row until my 4th one hits. The Pidgeotto still lives, which I honestly kind of expected because Pidgeotto does have decent defense. And then on the Charmander, I miss Vice Grip, and then I finally hit it for half and I get a reset. If you were wondering why I was using Vice Grip, it's just because Vice Grip has more accuracy because I am so freaking sick of this Pidgeotto right now. Fortunately though, in this attempt 3 resets into the run, I'm able to defeat his Pidgeotto and his Charmander, and with those 2 defeated, the rest of his team is easy, but man, the Rival was straight up a challenge. I wonder if it might have been a better idea to do Misty first, but I still think I overall made the better decision. So anyway, with the Rival defeated, the rest of Nugget Bridge here is pretty easy. I do get the TM for Secret Power, which I teach in the place of Vice Grip. It's a 70 power move. It has a secondary effect that changes depending on the terrain, and in normal terrain or in buildings, it has a chance to paralyze. So this thing is kind of like a discount body slam, but I'm honestly taking it just for the raw power alone. And this move should help me with Misty, because as you can see on the Oddish Girl, I leveled up to 22 and I just hit 56 speed. Her Starmie, Misty's Starmie, has 53 speed, so I am now ready to take on Misty. She starts off with her Staryu. I did teach Dig before this fight just in case it'd be useful. Secret Power one-shots the Staryu, and now for the Starmie. Secret Power does slightly less than half, but then the second one gets a critical hit, and I beat Misty with a time of 25 minutes and 17 seconds. Honestly, even if it didn't crit, she would have just used a Super Potion. I outspeeded, I would have been fine. So fighting Rival 2 first was definitely the right call. The Rival fight on the SS Sand fortunately doesn't cause any issues for me. I have no issues on the SS Sand. I did get the TM for Brick Break though on the ship just because I can learn it, but I'm not going to teach it right away. So I figured I may as well go take on Surge right now. He starts off with his Voltorb. Secret Power unfortunately doesn't one-shot, but Shockwave only does 11 damage, and then I one-shot the Voltorb with a crit. Then the Pikachu comes out and I one-shot it. Secret Power fortunately doesn't make contact even though it's a physical move, so static on the Pikachu doesn't activate. And then on the Raichu, I use Dig. It uses Double Team while I'm underground, but fortunately I'm able to hit through it and I one-shot Surge's Raichu. Things are actually going somewhere now. I think this thing might actually do great, especially since we'll get access to some setup moves really soon. However, before we can get access to those setup moves, I have to go through the Rock Tunnel Gauntlet, which comprises of Route 9 and Rock Tunnel. None of the trainers here really cause me any issues, and right near the end of Rock Tunnel, I talk to this youngster here to get the tutor move for Rock Slide, which I teach in the place of Rock Tomb. This will be my effective coverage for all the flying types in this game, along with the Rival's Charizard, which is 4 times weak to the move. With Rock Tunnel behind us, I enter Celadon City and then go enter the Rocket Hideout. Just before I entered here though, I did teach the TM for Brick Break, which I taught in the place of Focus Energy. I really do not need to rely on crits anymore, especially since I'm becoming very overleveled compared to everybody else. And that does even include the Giovanni battle, who's just an absolute piece of cake. The Kangaskhan can normally be quite bulky and cause problems, but with Brick Break, that doesn't happen today. With the Rocket Hideout out of the way, I enter the Celadon department store. I'm not going to buy any vitamins right away just because I don't have that much money, so I just buy some super repels and leave. And now I can get the HM for Fly, teach it to my Spearow, which I also caught on Route 3 because I didn't find a Pidgey. I forgot to mention that earlier, but oh well. And now I can fly to Lavender Town, completely destroy Rival 4, and then I can make my way to the top of the tower, send the Marowak to hell for capturing and abducting an old man, and then I rescue Mr. Fuji from her evil grasps, and I get the Pokeflute. Now, the world of Kanto is my cloister. I go ahead and get the TM for return, just in case I need it, and then I fly to Celadon City and go down to Erika's gym right away. Most of the time I just go down to Cycling Road first, but I decided I may as well just fight Erika now because I resist the grass typing. Her Pokemon are surprisingly quite slow, so I figured this fight's going to be absolutely a breeze. And I was absolutely correct. She starts off with Victory Bell. I did end up teaching Return, and I also equipped a Cherry Berry here just because I anticipated the Stun Spore. So then the Tangela is a 2-shot. All it does is set up Ingrain, which is just pointless for it. And finally is the Vileplume. Return does more than half. It missed Stun Spore, which wouldn't really have mattered either way. And then I defeat Erika at around 45 minutes. Alright, now we have a couple of options open to us. I'm going to go down to the Safari Zone just to get access to Surf and the Gold Teeth, plus get Fuchsia on the map as well. So after all that, I have two choices. I can either go fight Koga, or I can go into Sylph and fight Rival 5. Koga is an absolute breeze if you usually have Substitute to block his Smoke Screen and Toxic strats, or I could go to Sylph and get access to Bulk Up because I'm not going to have access to Swords Dance until level 49, which is still quite a ways away, so Bulk Up is just going to have to be my discount Swords Dance until then. I enter Fuchsia City and I talk to this guy right here to get the move Substitute, which I teach over the place of Dig. Dig really is not that useful anymore, but I probably should have gotten a couple of escape ropes because I'm still going to need Dig for a few spots, but I think I'll be fine. I get all of the important items out of the Safari Zone, such as the Gold Teeth and Surf, and I end up deciding I should probably do Sylph. Because look at my speed. I'm healing at the Saffron Center. I have 99 speed. I outspeed everything on the Rivals team. So if I get access to Bulk Up along with Substitute, the Rival's going to be completely easy. I go through Sylph, get a bunch of easy to get vitamins and PP ups, and I also get the TM for Bulk Up. I teach Bulk Up in the place of Brick Break. I honestly don't think I need Brick Break anymore, although this doesn't end up being a good idea because now I don't have something for the Rhyhorn, but I was stuck between a rock and a hard place with this moveset. I didn't want to get rid of Return as my main sweeping move. I can't get rid of Rock Slide because I can't get it back, so I decided getting rid of Brick Break was the best bet, but it's honestly not that big of a deal. The only rock type coming up is Giovanni's Rhyhorn, and if I had just used Brick Break and Rock Slide as my main sweeping moves, and I had deleted Return, I would not be able to take out the Nidoqueen for effective neutral damage. So I think deleting this move was the best bet. I mean, I don't have to worry about more rock types until Giovanni's gym, and Giovanni is absolute garbage. So with all this stuff grabbed in Sylph, let's go take on Rival 5. I use all the vitamins I found in Sylph before him, and then I fight the guy. He leads with Pidgeot. I go for a turn 1 substitute, hoping he uses Feather Dance. Unfortunately, he uses Wing Attack, which breaks the sub immediately. So I decided to go for Bulk Up instead, and it just keeps going for Wing Attack. You know what? I'm actually fine with this. I'd rather you use Wing Attack than Feather Dance. And then Rock Slide one-shots the Pidgeot. I get to level 38. Next up is the Charizard. I outspeed and one-shot it with Rock Slide. And then on the Execute, I one-shot it with Return, as well as the Alakazam and the Gyarados. Right after the rival fight, I get the Lapras for Surf and Strength, and now let's go fight Giovanni. So since I don't have super effective moves for the Rhyhorn, I'm going to have to set up most of my bulk ups on the Nidorino behind Substitute, and then hopefully one-shot the Rhyhorn with Return. Sadly I don't. Rock Blast breaks my Substitute, but due to all those bulk ups, Rock Blast barely does anything even when my Substitute gets broken by it, and then everything else is very easy with Return, despite the Kangaskhan trying to live at 1 HP. And then on the Nidoqueen, I use Return, it still lives, I get hit with Poison Point, but it doesn't matter. But still, it's quite annoying how they all lived at like 1 HP there, but hey, Sylph is done. I can now go do either Sabrina or Blaine, and unless I'm weak to Psychic, I will always do Sabrina after Sylph. So let's go fight the Queen of Psychic types. She leads off with her Kadabra. At 114 speed, I do outspeed everything on her team since her Alakazam only has 108 speed. And then on the Kadabra, it's just setting up Calm Mind, so I use this opportunity to set up a Substitute along with one Bulk Up. I only go for one because her Pokemon have bad physical defense, so I think +1 is going to be enough, and I was correct. Return one-shots her entire team. So yeah, I just completely destroyed Sabrina with a Bug type, even though Psychic has weak to Bug, and I have no Bug moves, so it's kind of funny. Also, as you can see here, I ended up forgetting you can actually dig out of Sabrina's gym in this game, so I just walk on the teleporters. A little tiny time loss, but not a big deal. Before I go to Cinnabar though, I go into the Saffron Mart here and I do purchase some escape ropes since I did have to delete Dig earlier. You may be asking yourself, wouldn't it have been better to just save Dig for the Paris and not teach it at all? You may think that, but I still needed to use Dig for Surge, but honestly, he may have been just fine with Secret Power, so I think if I were to do this run again, I would probably have not taught Dig to this thing, but oh well, let bygones be bygones, let's take on Koga. Koga leads off with his Coughing. I set up a Substitute blocking his Toxic. I go for one Bulk Up, hits me with Sludge, two Bulk Ups, hits me with another Sludge, and I decide, you know what, this is probably enough. I don't want to risk the Substitute breaking. And then Return one-shots the Coughing, the Muck, the other Coughing, and will it one-shot the Wheezing? Sadly, it does not. And he is able to use a Hyper Potion, but fortunately the next Return gets a critical hit, and I beat Koga on the first try. Now, I just have Cinnabar Island's gym leader Blaine left to go. I go ahead and get Surf and Strength at the Warden's house, teach them both to Lapras, and I make my way down to Cinnabar Island, go through the mansion, get the rare candy, and then I can fight the Fire-type gym leader. I am a bit worried here because I am weak to Fire. This was like the #1 gym I was fearing this whole run, but with access to Rock Slide and Bulk Up, I should be okay, but let's take a look. You know what though, it probably wasn't worth worrying here. I actually used all of my rare candies to get to level 53, and now I have Swords Dance in the place of Bulk Up. I use a Substitute which gets broken by the Fire Blast. My strategy here is to try and set up a Substitute until I get a Fire Blast miss, so that way I can get a free setup with Swords Dance. I did have an Oranberry equipped just for a bit of insurance, so just in case my health gets low, I should be okay. But I one-shot the Growlithe and the Ponyta that comes right afterwards. Next up, though, is the Rapidash. Fortunately, I outspeed it with my massive speed stat. I one-shot it with Rock Slide, and then the Arcanine goes down too. Intimidate didn't work on it because Hyper Cutter, which is my ability, prevents Intimidate from working, so that's a really huge bonus in this run. And yeah, this thing is just going to be on a path of destruction. Absolute, pure destruction. And the destruction doesn't stop here at all. Giovanni's gym is an absolute breeze. Even Cool Trainer Warren, who is effectively the gym leader of this gym because the actual gym leader is so bad he may as well not be a gym leader. I'll show why. He leads off with his Rhyhorn, and if I just set up a substitute, he's just gonna spam Scary Face, never attacking, and even though I only have Return and Rock Slide, when I get to +6 with Swords Dance, I still just completely destroy his entire team. So yeah, he's an absolute joke, like always. So anyway, let's move on to Rival 6. I outspeed everything on the Rivals team here. I decide not to go for a substitute and just set up the Swords Dances right away. Even if he uses a Feather Dance, Swords Dance effectively cancels it out. And now for the Rhyhorn, Return almost one-shots it, but not really, but that's fine. And then on the Charizard, Return one-shots it as well. I went for it just because it's more accurate. And then Return one-shots the Execute, the Alakazam, and the Gyarados. So now we are heading through Victory Road. I don't really get anything of interest while here. I just get this little Lumberry outside the league that I never end up using. The Lumberry is only really good for Laureline or Agatha, but if you have Swords Dance, it effectively cancels out those strats entirely, but it's still a good backup strat. Anyway, I enter the league, deposit my HM users because the champion's Pidgeot has Whirlwind, I buy some full restores, and now I can fight the final 5 trainers. Let's do this shit. The first Elite Four member is Laureline. She starts off with Dewgong. I start off by setting up Swords Dance right away. I don't even bother setting up Substitute because I know the Dewgong's just going to keep breaking it, but I only use 2 Swords Dances, and then next up is the Cloyster. I should have used this opportunity to set up a third one because it usually likes to go for Protect turn 1, but unfortunately I don't. But it doesn't matter because the Slowbro one-shots. If the Slowbro one-shots, usually everything else is a one-shot too, and I am absolutely correct. Lapras is a one-shot without Rock Slide, and Jinx goes down as well. Next up is the Elite Four member Bruno. He leads off with his Onix. Just before this fight, I did teach Brick Break over Return. Brick Break and Rock Slide is all I really need for the rest of the league. I originally tried to delete Rock Slide so I can keep Return, but then I realized if I had done that, I would have had nothing to deal with Agatha. And in the amount of time it took for me to explain everything here, Bruno just got absolutely destroyed, just like Laureline. But next up is the third Elite Four member, Agatha. Agatha, for the most part, is a relatively simple fight. If you start off with a turn 1 substitute, she'll use Confuse Ray, Toxic, or Double Team for the most part. Double Team just lets her set up for just no reason, and Confuse Ray and Toxic are completely blocked. So once I'm set up with Swords Dances, I have to spam Rock Slide until it eventually hits, which fortunately it does first try, and it got a crit just to add insult to injury. And then with that defeated, I one-shot the Golbat with Rock Slide, and I'd see if I could use Brick Break on the Arbok, but unfortunately it breaks my substitute, but doesn't even matter though. Her fastest Pokemon is her second Gengar at 150 speed, and I have 166. Right now, I outspeed everything except the Aerodactyl on Lance's team at 173 speed. Speaking of which, let's go take on the 4th Elite Four member Lance. Lance starts off with Gyarados. Hyper Cutter prevents Intimidate from working. I only use 2 Swords Dances before I decide to go on the sweep. I one-shot the Gyarados, but unfortunately Aerodactyl outspeeds me, obviously, and since I have so little health left, it destroys me. So I decide on the next attempt, I should probably make sure I have a substitute up going into it, so that way, if it outspeeds, it can just destroy the substitute and allow my health to live. But then on the Dragonite, I missed Rock Slide, and it destroys me with Outrage. So yeah, that is a very annoying reset. Also, these 2 resets here that I'm having at Lance, these were my first 2 resets since literally Rival 2 in Cerulean City. So from Cerulean City Rival Battle all the way to Lance, I have had 0 resets on anybody. And now I'm just getting resets here, which honestly makes sense just because Pinsir is fast, but it's not faster than Aerodactyl. I feel like in the future, something that could make this more consistent is if maybe I only candied up to 49 for Blaine instead of all the way to 53 for Swords Dance. So that way, I can save a few rare candies for the late game and potentially use them to outspeed the Aerodactyl to make this fight more consistent, but fortunately, only 6 resets into the run. Rock Slide one-shots the Dragonite, and then I use Brick Break on the Dragonairs. So now, we've just got the champion left, so let's go challenge him. He starts off with his Pidgeot. I use Substitute here because he has Sand Attack and Feather Dance. I'm not worried about Feather Dance, just Sand Attack. So I use all 3 Swords Dances. He just uses Sand Attack twice and then Aerial Ace to finish off the Substitute. I originally thought of setting it back up, but I outspeed everything on the champion's team, so I should be good to go. I one-shot the Pidgeot with Brick Break, as well as the Rhydon. Then on the Charizard, I fortunately do not miss Rock Slide, and I one-shot it. Right after Charizard comes the Alakazam. I used Brick Break on it even though it's resisted, just because I didn't want to risk another miss, and even though it was resisted, I still one-shot it. I used Rock Slide on the Exeggutor, and then finally on the Gyarados, and Pinsir has beaten Pokemon Leafgreen with a time of 1 hour, 11 minutes, and 23 seconds, with 6 resets at level 60, and a game time at the Hall of Fame of 3 hours and 17 minutes. Yeah, besides Rival 2 and Lance, Pinsir just absolutely destroyed Pokemon Leafgreen. Having access to Bulk Up and Swords Dance was really useful. Compared to Scyther though, Scyther got Swords Dance a little bit earlier than Pinsir did. However though, despite Scyther getting Swords Dance earlier, Pinsir actually performed better. Let's take a look at the leaderboard. It did around 9 minutes better than Scyther did. Scyther was 5 levels higher, mainly because it was in the medium fast group instead of the slow group. It got 5 more resets, and I only got a game time of 3:37. Also, if you're curious about this time, Scyther got this time with only 1 playthrough attempt because I was doing the blackout training on Brock just to try to eventually defeat it, and I ended up winning against Brock super duper early. And that's the reason I decided to do 1 playthrough, because I knew there was no way I was going to match that luck. But if I had to guess on why Pinsir got a much faster time, I honestly think it has to do with not having the flying typing, because it didn't have to worry about rock types as much. Plus, Scyther had to do a lot more setup. Towards the end of the game, I was using double team Swords Dance and Substitute, especially for a lot of the hard fights like Blaine, because Pinsir's defenses are generally better than Scyther's, and I think that overall led to a much better time, but I'm not completely sure. You can let me know in the comments what you think gave Pinsir the better time, but anyway, I hope you all enjoyed. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you want to see more, and be sure to follow me on my socials or support the channel through YouTube memberships. All YouTube members get access to all the patch files for every backport we've ever done on stream. So if you wanted to play one of the new Gen 9 Pokemon in Crystal, Fire Red, or Pokemon Blue, or anything else you can think of, then become a member and all the patch files are yours. Plus, if you become a member, you get a free backport request for me to do on stream. So anyway, I will see you all in the next video.